Secretary of State John Kerry has called Russian counterpart Sergey Lavrov about possible Russian military buildup in Syria. Joining me now is Lieutenant General Mark Hertling. He is from Orlando. And General, what are you hearing about this? Because clearly this is a serious escalation.
Well, the intelligence community has been watching this very closely, Martin, and it certainly would be troubling. As you know, Secretary Kerry has been working for some time to try and get a diplomatic solution, and in fact has been enlisting Russian help in this. All indicators, though, what the intelligence community is saying is the Russians are actually reinforcing the Assad regime, which could be extremely complicating our efforts in our fight against ISIS and also our attempt to get Assad to either step down or begin a better power sharing arrangement within his government.
And the concern here is how far are the Russians willing to go? I mean, it's one thing to provide weapons, ammunition. It's another to possibly provide advisors or even military troops. Where are they in this particular process?
Well, that's the unknown right now. And I think many of the intelligence analysts in Washington have determined that Assad is on his last legs. He's lost several fights recently. He's pulling into a defensive zone more and more around the capital. He has lost his allies in every source, with the exception perhaps of the Russians and the Iranians, although the Iranians are distracted in other places, specifically in Iraq. So this could be troubling depending on how far Russian goes. If they just bring in an advisor, that's one thing. It appears that they are bringing in a lot of equipment, which has the potential for contributing to aviation assets and airstrikes, which, when you're talking about this country, it would embroil the mix even more than it already is, as we're working with the Turks to strike in the north. The Saudi Arabians are very concerned. The Israelis are very concerned about this. But it all points to some of the meetings that the Russian hierarchy have had recently with not only Assad, but also with leaders out of Iran. As you know, General Soleimani has gone to Moscow recently.
Let me ask you this real quick. Of course, we know that the U.S. is carrying out airstrikes in Syria. Should there be a concern now for those people, those pilots, and that aircraft?
Well, certainly. There was always concern about the potential for engagements with Syrian aircraft. But imagine the scenario is if Russia begins,
and this is looking
way down the road, if Russia begins their own airstrikes in support of the Assad regime, then you have the potential airstrikes with coalition forces and Russian-supported Syrian forces. So that just brings a whole nother level of complexity to this entire situation.
But in theory, though, both are trying to get rid of ISIS, and those that are, I guess in some ways we seem to be on the same page.
Well, to a degree. But you're also talking about how do you get rid of ISIS? If Russia backs the Syrian leadership, are they not only going after ISIS, but are they going after Free Syrian Army elements? Are they going after coalition? Are they going after Kurds? All of those are going against the Syrian regime. If there is an attempt at greater power sharing, that's one thing. If there's an attempt at common enemies, that's another. But I think as long as Assad is holding power without any changes in his government, without any attempt to enlighten his government toward their people, you're going to have many second and third order effects, to include a continued refugee crisis of all the individuals that are leaving Syria.
Right, which we've talked about all day.